Good afternoon, I'm Paul Green. The main stories in London this lunchtime, and we start with the floods. Residents across the region are bracing themselves for more misery as forecasters predict heavy rain this afternoon and tonight. Emergency services have been called out to scores of homes in Essex, and in Berkshire the River Thames has burst its banks, threatening both houses and businesses. Keir Simmons reports.
The water is at Roger Fisher's door. He's worried that the local Twyford treatment works is failing, but he says Thames Water aren't returning his calls.
We don't know what's happening. I can't get into the pumping station. If it fails, then what's happening is under those sandbags and in various other places around the property, all the manholes blow, and then raw sewage just comes up. Thousands and thousands of gallons of it.
Thames Water say they're exceptionally busy, and you can see why. In nearby Sonning, the Thames River has reached the road. 2 years ago, they had the worst flooding here for more than 50 years. Locals say this is almost as bad, and the water is still rising. It certainly looks as if some properties have been flooded, but we can't get any closer, not in ordinary boots anyway. Yesterday in Red Hill, a train derailed on the line to Brighton, and there's still an emergency timetable. Some roads in Essex are underwater too. And today it is raining again, suggesting the flooding is likely to get worse before it subsides. This is Keir Simmons for London Today.
A man has been arrested over the North London bin bag murders. It comes as the Met Police diving team begins dragging Regent's Canal in the gruesome search for more missing body parts. Earlier, detectives were warning the public not to approach Anthony John Hardy after the torsos of a woman and a teenage girl were found in plastic bags in Camden on Monday. Christopher Peacock reports.
The search through bin liners for body parts continues in Royal College Street at Camden. 2 human torsos were found, leading police to believe they were looking for a butcher who'd halved and quartered his victims after killing them. It was behind this dry cleaner's shop that the double murder inquiry began after a tramp foraging for food found human remains in a bin bag. He took the parts, 2 sections of the legs of a woman in her 30s, to a nearby hospital. Police were called. They found the torso of a younger woman also wrapped in a bin liner. Inquiries led them to a first-floor flat where a second torso was found along with a hacksaw. Police have publicly named Anthony John Hardy as the owner of the flat and warned the public he could be dangerous. This morning a man was arrested in Greenwich and detectives are heading there to interview him. This shopkeeper says his wife saw the suspect in the company of 2 women just before Christmas.
He came in with this blonde lady, quite, attractive. She was quite, surprised. And then the following week, he came in again because he was going to meet this Oriental woman, to take out.
Local residents claim the suspect poured acid through a neighbour's letterbox. Another says she was also targeted.
He just sent me a vile letter, all sorts of names.
The killer had wrongly calculated the body parts would have been taken away by binmen before the gruesome discovery was made. Police are still looking for the heads and hands of the 2 victims. Detectives now wonder if there could be more victims. A prostitute was discovered dead in bed at the suspect's flat a year ago. The cause, a heart attack. But police are now asking themselves, could she have been frightened to death? In Camden, this is Christopher Peacock for London Today.
Shots have been heard from the Bedsit in northeast London where a siege has entered its 8th day. Police believe they heard gunfire last night, but there's been no move to storm the flat. Marcus Powell is at the scene in Hackney now. Marcus.
Well, Paul, police have confirmed that there certainly were gunshots from the flat last night. They are, however, quite convinced that both the gunman and his hostage, who they say they've spoken to, are still alive and well. They don't believe that those shots necessarily exited the flat, so it sounds as though there was certainly some shooting inside the building. Now, the mansion block where the siege is going on, you can see just behind me through the archway. It's not this immediate block of flats, but the one just behind. There has been some very intensive police activity just in the last few minutes. Actually, we have officers from SO19, the Met Specialist Firearms Unit. In the last few minutes, they've just been taking large battering rams out from the back of one of their vehicles. And there is a hive of activity here. Residents are actually being prevented from returning to their flats, those who've been allowed to leave. This is what the police have had to say just in the last few moments.
I'm very much aware of the concerns of the residents, and as I say, we're doing whatever we can to minimise the inconvenience to them. I don't think it's a case of a time being set. I think it's a case of sort of an evolving, dynamic situation. and obviously there are a number of options available to the officers who are in command of the situation.
Well, the gunman suspect has been named as Eli Hall, a 32-year-old man. There's no official confirmation from the police, but it's believed he's wanted in connection with firearms offences which may have taken place before today. We expect to hear more development this afternoon. Paul.
Marcus, thanks. The finishing touches are being applied to the London Boat Show. As in previous years, Earl's Court is providing a home for the event, which is now in its 49th year. More than 800 boats will be on show when it opens to the public tomorrow. It runs until January the 12th. A South London couple honoured in the New Year list for their work in fostering children say they're dumbstruck by the award. Sheila and Ronald Purbrick, who live in West Dulwich, have cared for hundreds of youngsters over the past 3 decades. They were given MBEs in recognition of the help and support they've provided. And that's the news in London this lunchtime. Now for a look at the weather, we can cross to Martin Davies.
Good afternoon. More torrential rain across the southeast this morning. The worst is almost over. You can see on the radar pictures, this is the heavy rain we had this morning moving away to the southeast. There is more rain to come this afternoon and a little more tomorrow as well, but it will be lighter and becoming more patchy with time. And then a big change in our weather for the weekend. It's going to turn dry, but much, much colder. So for the rest of this afternoon, there will be more outbreaks of rain to come in from the north and west. So 1 or 2 bright spells in between. It's still mild today, temperatures around 10 or 11. And that's about to change. Overnight tonight, dry for a while, we think, but then later in the night, some more patchy rain and drizzle coming down from the north. And then tomorrow, rather a cloudy day with outbreaks of rain and drizzle, perhaps even a little bit of sleet in places late in the day, and it will turn much, much colder for the weekend.
And that's it. Our next bulletin's at 3 o'clock, and London Tonight is at 6 with Anna Maria, Ash and me. When we'll have the very latest on that siege in Hackney, and of course the very latest on the flood warnings affecting our region following the torrential rain of the past few days and indeed today. Now back to the ITV Lunchtime News and Nicholas Owen.